Greetings, brothers and sisters. I got a lot to get to here, Hollywood style. Little Nancy Pelosi gaffe. In no particular order, let me start here.
67, 68. It seems to be a bit crowded up here. I was wondering if you would get rid of the elephant. Why, certainly. It'll cost you $666. It'll cost you $666. It'll cost you $666.
So one of my viewers sent me that. It's self-explanatory, 666, and unnecessarily so. And that's, Warner Brothers. But also we know with Disney, this is Ask About Illuminati. This is from a Donald Duck episode. Most people know about this, but this is something they've been doing for a long time in cartoons. More recently, we see this from a Tom and Jerry episode. They have their Illuminati eye and pyramid hats on.
This always gives me the creeps, sir.
He's the president of Hollywood. He's supposed to give you the creeps.
The president of Hollywood is Satan, right? So we see this, they bow down before him.
Greetings, your tinseliness, imperious leader of Hollywood.
And then earlier on, there was this.
Call security and have these two...
Sir, it's... him.
So they have these snakes in the Illuminati, the capstone of the pyramid with the eye, right? So this is, I forget what year this is from. The other ones are quite old. And so this is something that's been going on for some time in Hollywood. Every once in a while, it's good to have a little reminder of this, right? But I thought I'd start with this again. It's a jumping off point to Nancy Pelosi and this commercial with Carrie Underwood. Again, no particular order. I got to get to Alec Baldwin and Nancy Pelosi in just a moment. But here is Carrie Underwood, and she's in a commercial with James Harden for some reason.
Calling it a day, Carrie?
Oh no, there's more.
Like what?
So this is weird, right? I saw this while watching, a basketball game or something. So this is being, pitched out there to sports-minded people.
More reps, more steps. More this, more that. More time to breathe.
This is the worst type of meditation, the Hollywood meditation, where people do it as posing. Like, oh, I meditate, right? As a way to tell people they meditate. Because meditating isn't about building your brand or telling everybody how spiritual you are or whatever it is. It's about connecting to God or, whatever you're doing in meditation. But it's an internal process. It has nothing to do with anybody else. But if you're using it as a way, oh, I meditate to impress people, right? This commercial is about branding, of course, the celebrity brands to, sell whatever product they're going to sell, whatever crappy, mainstream healthcare stuff they're about to sell. But in terms of Carrie Underwood, they're building her brand as not just a singer, but she's also an athlete. She works out and she meditates, right? And meditation isn't about branding. It's not about your image because, everyone meditates in one way or another. It's I've talked about this. Your brain goes into a meditative state. It's like sleep. Your brain goes into these various states when you're watching TV. You go into an alpha state and, you have the active beta state. So your brain goes into various states of consciousness. And in meditation, there's various states of consciousness. And one of them is samadhi. And true meditation, like the heartfulness meditation, has nothing to do with the material world. You're forgetting about the outside world and even your physical body, and you're connecting with the spiritual side of yourself, and you're going inside. You're internalizing your existence. So it's not about external branding. But you see this a lot in Hollywood, that they are, pushing this idea, oh, I meditate, like it's some badge of honor, but you're not doing it right, or you're not doing it in a way that's helping other people out and yourself, right? It's a part of your ego. Like it's a part of, branding and your ego and, externalizing this activity to make it look like you're spiritual or something. But that's not the real reason I'm including this. This is just this little side bit. I just wanted to crap on her pretending to meditate. Then we'll get back to the main point here.
More hustle, more grind.
There's more to Carrie Underwood.
And I should wrap by midnight.
Impressive.
And so on this body armor, whatever it is, looks pretty gross. But James Harden is a world-class athlete. I'm not a big James Harden fan, but he's, top 5, top 10 basketball player and a world-class athlete. And Carrie Underwood is, I think, must be around 40 years old, pushing 40 right now. And she's a country singer. And she's, and she's telling him about her athletic prowess, right? That's like him saying to her, you should hear how great I am at country music, and then start singing to her country songs or whatever, she does. Like it's somebody who's an expert at something, and you're, exercising. Like he's a world-class athlete, and she's exercising, but she's telling him how great she is, the commercial. I mean, this is, part of this feminist agenda where he looks on admiringly about how great she is, what an athlete she is, and, how hard she works, right? And it's painfully bad. Like it's not, a well-done commercial. It's just painful on all levels. And then they sell this crappy sports drink at the end of it.
And I should wrap by midnight.
Impressive.
And he's impressed by Carrie Underwood's athletic prowess. And just, there's so much like offensive about that commercial and this sort of feminist agenda they're pushing. So speaking of crazy, one of my viewers sent me this morning.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice.
That is so wrong on so many different levels. And the mainstream media is not going to cover this. This is on Fox, which is mainstream, but CNN and MSNBC won't cover this. But think about what this ghoul just said, right? That George Floyd sacrificed his life for justice. This is one of the biggest gaffes I've ever heard. Like, this is offensive on so many different levels. Totally missing the point of all of it, right? I mean, let's just start with the obvious that he didn't sacrifice his life. He didn't choose this. He was committing a crime, and he was, there was fentanyl and drugs in his system. So he wasn't really even conscious of what he was doing. And I'm sure if you asked him at the time that he could either live or die, he could either die and, represent some sort of social change that she's talking about here, justice, or he could live, and he would have chose living. There's no question about it.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice.
And so he didn't sacrifice his life, and it shows you how out of touch she is, that she thinks his life was, anybody's life is worth sacrificing for some political agenda and things that they're, pushing, that she and her group of people are pushing, that his life meant nothing, right? This is about Black Lives Mattering. And she's saying that his life didn't matter because it was more important that he sacrificed his life for this cause. And she's thanking him like he voted for or something, or, like they thank hospital workers who are working with COVID, and how they used to thank the military and the police, right? That's how, thank you for your service. And so she's thanking him like that this was, his intention somehow, and that he sacrificed himself so this verdict could happen, right? I mean, just, completely out of touch. Just like, one of the biggest gaffes I've ever heard. Just absolutely brutal. This is Nancy Pelosi at her worst, right? Just completely it's crazy. That was a crazy thing to say, and it's going to go unnoticed. I mean, no one's going to cover this other than, people like me and Fox News and, and right-wing people, but it's the Democrats and liberals and Black Lives Matter people that should be mad at this, right? This is something the left should be like, this is horrible, what you just said. It's absolutely atrocious. So I haven't checked in on Alec P. Baldwin lately, so let's see what he's about.
I'm going to really try to do a quick one. I'm sorry, I always try and I always fail. But I thought it was interesting that China said, we are equals now.
This one's about China.
China wanted to say we are equals now, and I'm sure that by some metric that's true. And in terms of economy and gross national product or whatever, I'm not an economist, so
Wait, you're not an economist? So you're not an expert economist, but you feel perfectly qualified to ramble on social media, particularly Instagram, and talk about things you don't know, right? Here's his mask up here. He's guy up there so you can see it.
So I don't know what those measurements are, but of course the Chinese economy has boomed. I want to suggest two things. One is, but of course with China, like Russia, you have to put an asterisk next to their economic data because it's a
Yeah, and since we're like not in debt or anything, and we're not just printing money in America, and we never fudge the numbers or make things up. We don't need an asterisk, but all these other countries do because it's not like we're in $28 trillion of national debt and $88 trillion of overall debt and $155 trillion in unpaid liabilities like Social Security and Medicaid, and then $600 trillion in derivatives, like a $250 billion worth of debt. There's no asterisk. There's no asterisk in the American economy. There's an asterisk right here. He's been working on his due.
But you can't say to somebody, "Oh, you didn't build that bridge the right way." Or I was reading a story somewhere, maybe in the New Yorker, about the bullet train or the massive web of high-speed rail travel they wanted to construct there. And then there was some event that happened, some accident, and people were killed. So they took the guys that had some role in the manufacturing of the rail line, and they executed them.
It sounds like a conspiracy theory to me, Alec. What is this New Yorker that you speak of?
So I'm not quite sure we do that in this country.
Are you though? Like, America doesn't kill anybody. Is that what you're saying? Like, nobody dies in America because of political reasons or corporate reasons. Like, it's just 100% above board here.
There's a lot of things we get wrong in this country. But remember that the U.S. economy is that sometimes tense friction between capitalism and democracy. You don't have a democracy over there. So in Russia, like Russia's a good example. What is the excuse for Russia having such a shitty economy? Well, because half of them over there are corrupt.
It's clear he doesn't know anything about America, right? Like, these are all things he said about the Trump administration, but he thinks politicians here are above board, and he's talking about lifestyle and what it's like to be an American and comparing that to what it's like to be in Russia or China, but China's talking about this in terms of them saying they're equal economically. And the second thing would be military, which they're not equal, at least yet, but that's where their claims would be. They're not talking about human rights here or quality of life for the citizens.
We've had corruption in this country as well, but in Russia it's like when you can just boss everybody around and send them to the gulag and line them up and shoot them or poison them somewhere, where you can just attack your enemies without consequences, like in Russia, and you still have a really shit economy like you have in Russia. And what's the excuse?
In Russia, you're talking about here? What about Russia?
You're a communist dictatorship. You can tell everybody what to do. And so there's an asterisk that goes next to the Russian economic data as well. So when the Chinese say, we are your equal, okay, sure, there's an asterisk there. But more importantly,
it's amazing that Alec thinks he's got something to offer politically and in these commentary. And I'm sure there's people who watch these things and thinks he's got some analytical ability to interpret data for them, right? I mean, that's what these things are all about. When people talk about what's going on in the world, you need to be like better at interpreting data, your opinion and your analysis of what's going on and your ability to synthesize information needs to be of a higher nature, right? You need to be better than other people. And Alex is just a famous actor. Alec.
More importantly, I'm assuming they mean only in terms of the economy. Here in the United States, the one thing that gives us our power, is representative government.
It's the military, dopey. It's not representative government. The government sucks. I don't even vote. Most people who are conscious know that it's a left-right paradigm, and both parties are owned by the corporations and the military-industrial complex. What gives America its power right now is its military and nothing else, right? I mean, the economy to some extent, but it's the military.
So this thing that's happening in Georgia, of course you want to stop that. I've often said I'm opposed to boycotts. I don't want to see people lose their jobs. I don't want to see innocent workers lose their jobs.
Economic sanctions kills children. We know this from Clinton's person there. Who was it? Madeleine Albright, that admitted that 500,000, 500,000 kids in Iran or Iraq, I forget where it was, died because of American economic sanctions. It kills children, and Biden's proposing more economic sanctions on Russia, and they're leading up to World War III here. The people that controlled the left somehow want, and the right, I mean, obviously it's the same, people. I mean, it was basically everybody but Trump had been told that they wanted them to demonize Russia. But Trump wouldn't do it, and so this is where we are. The Democrats are the ones that are going after Russia. But before Trump became president, Hillary and Obama were blasting Russia because they interfered in Syria. They stopped Syria from being overtaken, the regime change in Syria, and therefore they are protecting Iran as well. And so that was something that the people that run this country, and the world to whatever extent, wanted to happen, and the Russians blocked it, so here we are, like now Biden's president, and now they've ramped up this talk about Russia. Let's fast forward. He's just
We are your equal now. And I want to go, well, as long as we keep having laws passed like they have in Georgia, they might have a point. But the difference here is we have real elections. We don't have...
Come on, bro. That wasn't a real election you just saw. So let me recap this. Most of you already know this, maybe you don't. But the Democrats and the media claimed, well, it was a report that came from the Joint Intelligence Community, the CIA, the FBI, and Homeland Security. And they did this report and about how Russia hacked the election from Hillary. And they had, things about Goofifer and Julian Assange, and nothing substantial, no proof, just, they said with extreme confidence. We believe this with extreme confidence, or we have, mild confidence with this. But they didn't provide any factual information. And the majority of the report was about Russia Today, RT, which I've watched a few things on that over the years. It's, a not so good truther channel, right? It's like a David Icke level truther channel coming out of Russia. It's not great. And very few people there was nobody watching that channel that was leaning towards Hillary. If you're watching RT, you weren't going to vote for Hillary. And so all this information they put out there about how the Russians interfered with the election in 2016 was unsubstantiated, and it wasn't something that, it would have been less than 1% of people that would have been influenced. And so it really was a nothing burger. But we do know that the mainstream media gets millions of views. Not so many views, but about 20 million views per day across the board. And some of those are repeat viewers, right? So in terms of people, maybe somewhere between 5 or 10 million people watch something, some mainstream news a day. So that's more than Russia Today, certainly. And they have the celebrity culture and everybody else tell you how bad Trump was for 4 years. It was all negative towards Trump. Fox News really never liked Trump, and the Republican establishment didn't like Trump. And so Trump was, again, he had his own Twitter following, and he had his own very fervent fan base, but the rest of the people were hearing how Trump was a failure, but things were going pretty good in America, in terms of the economy and other things. And so they unleashed COVID, right? The way the media covered COVID was, one-sided, and how Trump had failed on the economy and he was failing during COVID, and they bashed him for, the 6 months leading up to the election, and they pushed for policies that were going to hurt him in the election that he was going to have to be, he was going to be held responsible for. At the same time, they hid Joe Biden away, who had some sort of dementia and couldn't even complete full sentences and wasn't campaigning like a normal person. And they gifted Joe Biden the nomination in the first place because he was only polling at about 20% of Democrats wanted him. Old Clinton people and, old Obama people that had a favorable opinion of Biden. But Biden had ran for president 3 times before, and he had polled at less than 1%, had to drop out because of a scandal where he was plagiarizing other people's speeches, and he failed against Clinton and Obama. He didn't even, register. And then they did a hit job on him, CNN particularly, but mainstream media did a hit job on him when he tried to run against Clinton. They called him a gaffe magnet. They brought up his snoozling, groping, and all these things, right? Most of us know this. And so the media knew all about Biden's liabilities, but somehow they picked him out of a sea of horrible Democratic candidates. And then when the primaries rolled around, he lost big in New Hampshire and in Iowa. He came in 4th or 5th, and he looked like he was dead in the water. I was like, wow, he really, the Democrats didn't really like him, but they rigged the election against him. The Democratic establishment realized they were going to get Bernie, and they came out on TV, famous, senators and people who were powerful in the Democratic Party, and came out and said, we can't let Bernie Sanders win because he's, he can't beat Trump. He's considered a socialist. And so they rigged it against him. Clyburn helped fix the election for him in South Carolina, and Buttigieg and Klobuchar withdrew and endorsed Biden. And we know Buttigieg just got his, he's a secretary of the transportation when, he was just a mayor of a small city, right? And so, he was a young guy who was a mayor, and all of a sudden now he's a secretary. He's, he got paid off. And so, the way politics works. And Elizabeth Warren, who was the other progressive, the other sort of socialist candidate, stayed in and took away votes from Bernie. And so they literally rigged the primary against everybody, certainly Bernie and everybody except for Joe Biden. And then he picks Kamala Harris, who polled at less than 1% when she dropped out of the election. Nobody liked her. The Democrats didn't like her, right? She didn't even receive 1 vote. All these other candidates were, did better than she did. So she wasn't even a national figure in the terms of doing anything. She was a senator or whatever it was. But they picked these 2 unlikable candidates, and somehow they beat Trump. And there was, things leading up to the election, the way that they were doing the mail-in ballots and things that were against Trump. They were stuff that wasn't, good for Trump. So no one who's being honest could call that fair. And if you throw in the bigger fact here, which is that they handpick the candidates that are, national politicians, certainly for president, but for Congress and the Senate as well, that, the average person just can't run and win one of these seats or win the presidency. They have to be approved by the establishment and these 2 controlled parties. You have 2 parties that are controlled by the same money and the same ruling class, and the media is owned by 6 conglomerates, right? And so all of this is controlled. The media, the politicians, everybody. And so, come on. Either he's completely oblivious or he's just a flat out liar.
Don't have some communist bullshit like they have in China and in Russia. I have all the admiration in the world for Russian music, Russian dance, Russian literature, drama.
You mad, bro? He's talking about what happened in Georgia with the voting laws, and he's saying we're on the verge of being a communist country even though Joe Biden and the Democrats control the government.
Russian culture. But the Russians suffer from the same thing we do from time to time, which is the people, by and large, their hearts are pure. They just want to go to work. They want to take care of their family.
This guy knows about pure hearts.
Family. They want to mind their own business. They want to go and vote. You know? I mean, the American people have made some catastrophic mistakes politically in the last, in the last election. And I look at the Russians and I'm like, hey man, I got no problem with the Russian people. It's their government that disgusts me.
Their government disgusts him because he's such a fair and wonderful human being, and his, $200 million net worth, and his Spanish wife who grew up in that famous Spanish city of Boston, right? His hatred for Trump and his resume of bad movies and poor acting. He's just, he's disgusted by Russia.
It's their government that is corrupt and filthy and inefficient, and they're just a bunch of thieves.
Not like Joe Biden and his crackhead son Hunter Biden. They're paragons of virtue. No, they're not like, there's no thieves in the Democratic Party.
Is that the same way in China? I don't know. When China says we are your equal, I want to say that is such bullshit.
You and your potty mouth.
That is such bullshit. And the way we make sure and the way we maintain that any remarks like that are bullshit, the way we maintain our real advantage over these countries is we stop the voting laws that are going on in Georgia.
Really? Like that's your one thing? Not the debt, not the hypocrisy, not the media, not the, again, if you're a religious person, you believe God has a plan. And if you're not, if you don't believe in God, you believe that it's chaotic and random. And either way, the amount of control, our government is very controlling. The Republicans are very controlling, and the Democrats are even worse. And there's all this control they're putting out there, right? And he's, saying the one thing is these voting laws in Georgia, that's gonna wreck America.
We make sure that doesn't happen in this country, because that's the difference. They're making stuff there, they're selling stuff there, they've got an economy that's humming, great, and they got a gun at the back of everybody's head. Let's not kid ourselves. It's
Stop kidding yourselves. That's how it is in China.
They're selling stuff there, they've got an economy that's humming, great. And they got a gun at the back of everybody's head. Let's not kid ourselves. It's communism. It's communism.
Good thing Americans are in love with guns and violence in their, movies and their TV shows, and our military, that we spend more money on our military than any other country, and the police state that is here that we don't even know exists because we've grown up and are used to it. But it's all these other countries that have that, right? It's just, I would rather live here than Russia and China. I mean, certainly, I think this is a better place to live in so many different ways, especially when you're born as an American. Like, it's hard to go to these other countries. I wouldn't want to live in Europe and, India because of the meditation, the heartfulness meditation. Yeah, I thought about possibly moving there, but, it wasn't really an option. And it's not, more enjoyable. It's harder to live in India, certainly. I haven't been to any country that's easier or better to live in. I guess Canada is similar, but I mean, that's even more along these lines of, you have this, democratically controlled state that taxes the crap out of you. So you got to talk about taxes here as well, Alec, right? Because taxes are important in understanding what he's talking about. Yeah, so it's worse in Russia and China. At least that's as far as I know from Russian people that I've talked to and Chinese people I've talked to that have gone to the ashram and, in India, and people I met through the heartfulness system and what I read and, my understanding of those countries. But it's certainly from American media perspective. But I would rather live in America. And a lot of those people want to live in America that are in those countries. But don't kid yourself, Alec, and think that America is some paragon of virtue, because it's just, right now, because of the way the debt is going, until the debt catches up to us. And when it does, we're going to be maybe worse than those countries. America is definitely in free fall, especially morally. And it's, days as being the top country and our lifestyle being the way it is numbered.
It's a communist dictatorship.
So if you scroll down Alec's Instagram page, you'll find that he posted a picture of Prince Philip. And he said, "Rest in peace." So he has a lot of problems with these communist dictatorships, as do many people, but he has no problem with this monarchy, the British Commonwealth, that has control over 1/6 of the world's land, and 52 countries are influenced by this, powerful family of degenerates, right? And, they don't have a problem with that at all. But, these countries that are under communist rule, those are the dictatorships, but this one's perfectly fine, right? This guy and his family and the Queen and all the rest of it. It's the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy's off the charts.
And in this country, we want to make sure that we don't. When they say we're like you, we know that that's nonsense. Is we maintain our electoral integrity.
It's a rare combination of being dumb and being a shill, reading from a script, and a self-importance and self-entitlement that only comes from being a Hollywood actor and thinking that you have something to say when you're just a script reader.
The Chinese, we are your equal now. I don't think so.
He wanted to come up with something for a big ending, but he just doesn't have it in him. Like, he just doesn't have the mental capacity for a big ending. Like, he was thinking, he was postulating. Let's watch that again. That was platinum.
The Chinese, we are your equal now.
So he's thinking, his wheels are turning here, licking his lips. He's licking his lips again, touches his face. And then I don't think so. He wanted to deliver a big line. And he just came up short. I've been doing this a while. You have this YouTube channel since 2007. 2013 or so, 14, I started to make more and more of these type of videos about the system. The economic system, the collapsing system. And it's been easier for me because of the heartfulness meditation. It's, you do this cleaning thing. I do this cleaning thing at night and get these sittings that help remove the suckiness, right? Because what I've been looking at for the past, I don't know how many years now. I mean, certainly not just making videos, but I was doing research, right? I was researching this stuff for the past, 16 years or so. And so looking at what I'm seeing here, what you're seeing, is an overwhelming amount of suck. Like, the human species is sucking across the board. Like, there's still some, wonderful things about our system and our lifestyle and some advantages, having a lot of free time and the ability to travel, although that's not as good now with COVID. But some of these things that we've had in our culture that are good are still there, but they're fading. But the people themselves, all of us, are sucky, right? We're a lot worse than we would be if we were in another system. And I don't mean the available systems of capitalism or communism or any of those things, because those things there's no difference really, because people suck in each one of those systems. And so it's not about the alternatives that exist now, but I'm talking about a whole different orientation to life and, what existed 5,000 years ago, and even, in some places in the world with Aboriginal cultures in the last, 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. But in terms of what's available now, and the Kali Yuga has lasted 5,000 years, it's all systems that reflect the suckiness of human beings. And the other part is that reading some of the, prophecies and just the plan, because the heartfulness system documents the plan, the upcoming plan. It's done in the Whispers of the Brighter World and then other places in the literature, that this system was going to have to be taken down, was going to end. This global system is going to end in the near future, and a new system, a better system, will be born, out of the bones and ashes, will rise from the bones and ashes of this system. And this is where the line comes from, where Babaji, the second master of the system, said only spirituality will save this world, in the sense that we're going to try to, we're going to work towards, as a people, running this world into the ground, destroying this world. And so that's like on the table right now, because that's the way we're all headed. You can see when people are headed for bad things, right? When they're headed in the wrong direction. And we are, like in every possible way. And, and it, for people who wish the system could be saved or can't see past the system, it's very difficult. So if you, are hoping desperately the system will be saved, it's difficult to watch all of this stuff, the overwhelming amount of suck. And, we're never going to turn the corner in terms of, what's happening right now and save the system, because the system sucks itself. It's not a good system, even though it is for some people, at least on a material level, but it's bad for everybody spiritually, and it's bad materially for lots and lots of people. Half the world is living on less than $2 a day, right? I mean, it's just overwhelming poverty. And I mean, for a materialistic system, it only benefits some people materialistically, and it benefits nobody spiritually. It disconnects people from God. And the religions suck, right? The religions don't help people connect to God. They act as a middleman between you and God. And so for me, I know the system sucks and it's going to end. So on one level, I've accepted that. But on the other level, I've homesteaded, which I enjoy. I like doing homesteading things. But I know how hard it is to survive on your own with a family or whatever it is, in terms of, all the things that the system does for us, because we're 100% dependent on this system. I mean, all of us, like, maybe 95%, whatever it is, but still, unless it's like 25%, it's 100%. Like, unless you're, 75% self-sufficient, then it might as well be 100%. If you, grow a little food and you have, that's something, like you have some skill level. If you're doing some things, but if you're more than 50% dependent, 75% dependent on this system, or even, 26% dependent on this system, then it's, it's might as well be 100%, because that 25% is huge, or the 50% certainly, right? To go from being half dependent on the system to half self-sufficient, well, you're closer, but that 50% is a lot of work and a lot of lifestyle changes. And so I know these two things. I know it's for the best for all of us as the system collapses. And I know, this is just going to move forward, more and more of this. You'll see it suck more and more. I mean, it's a growing level of suck, like you see in some movie where there's this, dark cloud of suck, just like it's a horror movie. And everything's just getting worse, and people are getting suckier and dumber, and just, everything's going in the wrong direction. You're like, how can this be? Like, you start accepting one level of suck, and you're like, all right, this is normal now, and you don't notice it as much. And then everything starts sucking even worse, right? And I'm talking about politics and the movies and the culture and just the agenda that's rolling out here, that they're rolling out. But and then people in general, the comments they make and the attitudes they have. And it's not just people on the left. I mean, just go into any, comment section and see the level of stupidity and, just arrogance and hostility and just, suck. It's just going to be described as the big suck, right? And so, for me, like I said, I know that the system can't be saved, but I know, there's going to be this period between when a new, better system is built and people become better, because it's going to take a spiritual leap where, we manifest a more, a better system that's more spiritual in nature and more natural in nature, right? Like a real system that benefits human beings. And that only comes from healthy human beings. So at some point, human beings are going to have to get more natural and more healthy and connect to God on a deeper level. And the heartfulness system exists for that purpose. And so, yeah, we'll see whether people embrace it or not and what happens with that in the future. Because it's like this is a lifeline for humanity and, the world itself. But we'll see how it happens with all that. But there's a huge leap that has to happen now between humanity of today and humanity of the future. And it could be something brilliant to watch, right? Where, human beings just are much, much better and they stop sucking, right? All of us. And that could be, a wonderful thing to experience and watch. And I hope it's going to happen. I believe it can happen. But right now, it's the great suck. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.